Okay, the image that you see on screen is the first lap, the first corner of last year's Las Vegas Grand Prix, where once again Max Verstappen drives his opponent off the track. Max Verstappen has made a career out of driving his opponents off the track. Yet Max Verstappen is lauded as being one of the greatest drivers you've ever seen. It is conduct that is completely unacceptable, and yet the media is promoting that kind of conduct as being some sort of great. Something is extremely wrong there. Something is extremely wrong. Now, we can think of 4 other examples just off the top of our heads where Max Verstappen is guilty of this same conduct. And in terms of the number of times he has forced his opponent off the track, leaving his opponent no track room whatsoever, that will go into the double figures. But in terms of the ones where not only has he forced his opponent off the track, he's left the track himself in doing so. We can think of Brazil 2021, we can think of Saudi 2021, and we can think of this year's USA Grand Prix at Austin when he forced Lando Norris off the track, and likewise in Mexico this year. This was where he forces Charles Leclerc off in Las Vegas 2023. 5 different occasions. He was penalised for a few of them, but not others. So he wasn't penalised. In fact, he wasn't penalised in the US Grand Prix this year. He wasn't penalised in Brazil 2021. And we'll go through the other penalties. I will make a video of this when I get the chance and go through all of them. But let's just have a look at what goes on last year at that first corner incident. So this is a quarter speed. It's lights out and away we go. Exciting, isn't it? So off we go, quarter speed. I'm doing this to try and evade being blocked on copyright. So it was Charles Leclerc who was on pole position, Max on second, Max on the inside line of the track. Taking the inside line of the track, you have to take a tighter radius of curve, meaning you've got to be slower into there. You're entitled to be left track room, but you've got to make it around the corner, Max. Look at the trajectory, can't even speak correctly, of Max's car. Is Max's car looking to go around this corner? No, it's not, is it? Look at all of the other cars that are coming behind. Now, what you will see is you will see a car locking up here. That's where the white is coming from there. And you will see that cars do make contact and some take evasive action. But look at every other car of the 20 cars trying to make it around the corner, and Max Verstappen doesn't. Is that how great he is, that he's the one that's different to everybody else? So look at everybody else, look at the line they're on. Now there's contact here that messes things up. But look at how far Max goes off track. Completely off the track. Look at where everybody else is. Now you'll see, if you look back further on this field, we'll focus on Max and Charles first. Okay, now if you remember back to the 2024 US Grand Prix at the Circuits of America, the one where Lando got forced off the track in the same manner, there were 2 other incidents at that corner. One involved George Russell and Valtteri Bottas. George Russell forced Valtteri Bottas off the track, and the other one, I believe, was I think it was Tsunoda on Albon, but I can't be 100% certain on that. But George Russell forced Valtteri Bottas off the track and remained on track himself. George Russell got a 5-second penalty for forcing Bottas off the track, but they limited it to a 5-second penalty rather than a 10-second penalty by stating that at least George Russell remained in control of his car by keeping his car on the circuit. So using that same criteria, Max Verstappen wasn't in control of his car because Max wasn't in control enough to keep his own car on the track. And he is forced off Charles Leclerc. Now, you can see now the carnage that has happened behind them. And we'll just go back and focus on that now that we've just looked at what took place with Max and Charles. So again, coming into that first corner, as we approach the corner, you will see. So firstly, again, just while they go there, look what Max's car is doing. It's the only one that's done that. Now look at the rest of the field. They're coming down the straight to the bend, and they're making it around the bend. This Aston Martin looks like it is going to cause a collision. It came in too hot. The back end of it has then slid out. Yep, that's what's happening there. So that Aston Martin causes a problem. These other cars here are coming across the track. Maybe the grip's not great, but that's your job as a Formula One driver to drive according to the conditions. Drive at an appropriate speed relative to the conditions. If you cause an incident due to you driving in a manner that's not under control, that's your fault. No excuses. So the Aston Martin causes a problem there, and with a car in front of you that is at that angle, you have to make a split-second decision as to what you're going to do. And so these cars are bailing out. You can also see this car here, which looks to be the other Ferrari, facing the wrong way. So the other cars are bailing out around it. They're not forcing each other off the track in the same way that Max Verstappen forced off Charles Leclerc. Let's have a look, go back there to see what's happening with the Ferrari. So we're coming into the court. Let's go back a little bit more, focus on that Ferrari. Car on the inside line. All these cars around here going around the corner. They're not trying to chop across to hit the apex, because the racing line would be to stay wide here by this curbing that I'm trying to wave my cursor by under the Heineken banner. Stay wide and then cut across to the curbing on the inside, hit about here approximately, apex of the corner approximately, which will vary. Okay, and then that would bring you out a wide line across here. Okay, that is approximately the faster route through the corner, I would imagine. They're not trying to do that. They're aware that there's other cars and they need to leave each other space on that track, and they're not trying to cut each other off. Ferrari looks like it's coming too hot, and whether there's contact between the Ferrari being too hot as connected with this car that's there, is that a Haas in the colour scheme there, and the Ferrari's just come in and connected with it, or whether the Ferrari's lost its back end because of, again, the track conditions not offering enough grip, and is that now seeming to spin out of control. All of the 7 cars behind that Ferrari look to be on course for making it around track, but the Ferrari clearly is losing control. And 1, 2, 3 cars go off track to avoid the collision. Have they gained an advantage by leaving the track and getting that, or have they just taken evasive action? You know, like Lando Norris in the circuits of America. Has he got to give that place back? Oh, he's got to give that place back. They overtook while they're off the track. Or were they just taking evasive action by going off the track? Yes, that's what they were doing, weren't they? So what then took place was, if we can go back to this document here, 2023 Las Vegas Grand Prix. Number driver 1, Max Verstappen, car 1, forced car 16 off the track at turn 1. Breach of Appendix L, Chapter 4 of the International Sporting Code. 5-second time penalty, 2 penalty points on his super licence. The stewards reviewed the positioning, marshalling system data, video and in-car video evidence. Didn't need to invite Red Bull in to tell us what they thought in the comments section, no. Car 1 appeared to miss the apex of turn 1. It's nothing to do with the apex. It's nothing to do with the apex. Because how many cars miss the apex here? Let's see how many cars. Let's count how many cars actually hit the apex out of 20. So Max doesn't hit the apex. Clearly Charles doesn't hit the apex. This car doesn't hit the apex. That car doesn't hit the apex. Which car hits the apex? Oh, that's missed it. One car. One car out of 20 hits the apex. So it's not a criteria, is it? Not in the slightest bit is it a criteria. Not in the slightest. But they project that it is. Car 1 appeared to miss the apex of turn 1, right? Did not follow the racing line. Again, racing line, utter bollocks. Let's go through the racing line. What is the racing line? Let's have a look. Let's get that aerial view. What's the racing line? Well, the racing line would be starting off here, coming across to here, and then ending up over here. Nobody takes it. Not a single one out of 20 competitors takes the racing line around that corner because it's lap 1, turn 1, and nobody can take the racing line. What your only concern is what is around you, and you have to drive in accordance with what is the available space around you, affording yourself room on the track and those around you affording you room on the track. Nobody's entitled to the perfect line around the lap. That's not an entitlement. So again, what we are fed is bullshit in this. Car 1 appeared to miss the apex. Bullshit. Did not follow the racing line. Bullshit. And consequently forced car 16 off the track. No, that's not the actual explanation for what took place. What took place is car 1 went into this corner carrying too much speed because he refused to yield and didn't remain in control of his car to keep his car on that track to make it around this corner and afford his competitor track room on his outside. That is what he did. That is driving out of control. Further to that, which makes it even worse, is the fact that he drove at such a speed that he couldn't even keep his own car on the track. That is driving dangerously. He knows that he's got a car on his outside. He's driven down here at such a rate that he's willing to drive off track here, drive across every other car that's trying to make it around that corner, and drive off the track this side just to get ahead. And that is filthy. That is up there with the worst of any foul that you can commit in any sport. And that is what Max Verstappen has made a career out of. And he is being lauded as being a great of the sport. And he just, quite frankly, isn't. I don't care whether you like Max Verstappen. I don't care what your opinion is. That is the factual analysis of the situation. If you don't understand what racing is, that is your failing, not mine. So, that's it. Competitors are reminding that they've got the right to an appeal. And these are the stewards that even had to give that. This is Gary Connolly and Derek Warwick, corrupt stewards. 2 of the corrupt 4 from Abu Dhabi. Dennis Dean would have been provided by the US. I think that's the track marshal from the US Federation for Motor Racing. And Loic back a lane is another of the FIA stewards we frequently see making these decisions. Are we going to call this British bias, are we? Well, I believe Gary Connolly is actually Australian. Derek Warwick, the Great White Hope, Honda used car salesman there. But that is what the stewards did. Now, let's just have a look at this, shall we? For you real motor racing fans, let's have a look at some real motor racing and show you what real motor racing is really all about.
Just going to have a fast car down to the first corner. Demita's got to give him a reasonable amount of space. He can't just turn in. He's going to.
You can't just turn in and you can't just drive your other car off the track. Let's have a look what real motor racers actually, the skill that they have.
Otter is still going to be there. Rides the curves, side by side. Kakinoshi Otter still trying to wrestle this. He's very late on the brakes on the outside. This is how he got the lead. Can he do it again? Demita's going to be waiting through the braking zone. Can Otter be smart?
Look at that. The car on the inside makes it around that corner and still leaves room on his outside. Doesn't come off the track this side of the track, does he? Incredible. You couldn't make it up, could you? Or is this what all drivers of every formula are expected to drive their car like? Oh, in accordance with the driving standards that all drivers of all motor racing formulas actually know. And it's only filthy drivers like Max Verstappen who do it differently.
And tuck back in on the inside. Yes, he can. Demita's still going to try and run it around the outside. They bang wheels. They're almost touching mirrors. Goodness me. Demita still trying to hang on to this. This is incredible. Riccio and Demita squeezing Otter through the left-hander. They have been side by side for half the lap. Round the outside, Otter's going to have the speed. He'll carry the motion into the left-hander. And Otter's going to get ahead. Demita's going to hold it round the outside. Oh my goodness. This battle just will not die. Kakinoshi Otter still swings around the outside, kicks up the dust, squeezes Demita to the inside. Demita will not back down. Still they are side by side. They're going to keep this side by side for an entire lap. This is unprecedented. Demita dives into the hairpin. Otter still there. Neither driver is surrendering. And finally Otter gets through.
So, you get motor racing like that when you have sports competitors who compete with having respect for their opponent. You respect them, and in return, they respect you. And that is the sport. It's about mutual respect. Because we can all conduct ourselves like see you next Tuesdays, and we can all go on a sporting field, be willing to break the rules of the sport, and be willing to commit atrocious acts against the people that we are competing against, which aren't in adherence with the rules of the sport. And what does that make you? That makes you filthy scum. That's what it makes you. Because if you think you are winning something by competing and contesting over something and yet not adhering to the rules that govern that contest, you're not actually winning anything. Okay? You're not winning, you're cheating. And if you value what it is you think you're accomplishing by that, well, it just shows you're just narcissistic scum. The value of victory in sporting contest is being able to overcome your opponent with a display of skill and ability and of effort that manages to overcome that of your opponent by contesting in accordance with the rules and regulations of the sport. And it's demonstrating that your ability has overcome theirs at that specific discipline. And to do that, you respect your opponent. You respect what it is that they're attempting to accomplish, because you're attempting to accomplish the same thing, and it's a case of who can do it better than the other one. And that's where respect comes in. You see, Max Verstappen doesn't have respect for anybody else. And that is a reflection of who he is as an individual. It would appear that his father, Jos Verstappen, is the same type of human being, and that would appear that Max gets his values from his father. His father has committed, it is reported to have committed various crimes in the past, and doesn't care about other human beings, just what he wants. Max doesn't respect other people either. And Max's fans are a reflection of Max. Many of Max Verstappen's fanboys, they see in Max characteristics that they like, and therefore they become super fanboys of Max Verstappen. That's a reflection of who you are. Now, those very same people will come to this channel and they will make comments in the comment section seeking to undermine and vilify the actions of myself in the way I present these things. Try to project that I am the hater. Try to project that I am the one who is disrespectful. And this is what they do. It's gaslighting tactics. It's the tactics of an abuser. The tactics of the perpetrator who projects that it's somebody else that's doing some things that are so egregious and so wrong. And that's the nature of abuse. Abusers such as Max Verstappen, Jos Verstappen, that are liked, okay, hero worshipped by the strap-on fanboy, and then the strap-on fanboy comes to project that anybody that exposes that, anybody that talks about that, is just a hater. Oh, it's because this is a Max hate channel. It's not a hate channel, okay? If you are guilty of wrongdoing and you are, for example, arrested by the police and taken to court to answer for your crimes, you standing there and saying, oh, it's just because you hate me, isn't it? You hate me, and that's why you're just having a go at me because you hate me. No, it's because you're guilty of a crime. You are guilty of conduct that is not acceptable, and therefore I am saying to you, you are guilty of conduct that is not acceptable. And you want to project, oh, it's because it's British bias. Oh, it's because it's a Max hate channel. Oh, it's because you're a Lewis Hamilton fanboy. That is all you've got, isn't it? That's all you've got. You see, me, I've got evidence. You know, the evidence consists of the video that I just showed you of what Max actually did. That's what he did. You don't see the other drivers doing that with anywhere near the same level of frequency that Max does. And yet the sports media are paid to suck the Dutch sausage.
If he wins in Vegas again, as he did last year, and goes on then to take the title, brilliant. Well done, Max Verstappen.
Brilliant. Yeah, well done, Max. Well done, Max.
What a fantastic performance. And to be world champion in a year where he's clearly not in the fastest car.
Talk us through the opening, first 10 races of the season, where it was a rocket ship. The first part of the season where it appeared we're gonna be in for a repeat of the 2023 season, where that Red Bull car achieved a level of dominance that had never been seen in the sport before. But now, oh, Max clearly isn't in the fastest car. Well, he certainly was for the opening race of the season, wasn't he? Clearly was. Then what happened? Oh, then the FIA started amending the regulations, clarifying that you're not allowed asymmetric braking devices on your car. All of a sudden, the Red Bull car's not as fast. What would that indicate? That would indicate that, oh, something has decreased the performance of that Red Bull car. You are going to try to project that, oh, it's because everybody else has made their cars so much faster. And the Red Bull has only just stood still in its performance and the others have gone past it. No. The Red Bull car went backwards. That would indicate a performance decline in an era whereby you are making constant developments to improve the performance. So if every team on that grid I mean, obviously Mercedes are sabotaging Lewis Hamilton, but if every team on that grid is continually attempting to iterate its car to make improvements, and one car, its performance goes backwards, what would that indicate? That would indicate that something has been removed from that car that was previously affording it the performance that it was gaining. And evidently that was illegal. But they didn't disqualify Max from this year's championship for competing in an illegal machine, did they? No, they don't tell us that. No, they just clarify the regulations. And then a bit later, we get another one with this lever inside the cockpit that can be used to adjust the height of the bib of the car. Okay, so yeah, that's not allowed either. That's the second illegal. And then we got to Brazil, and we see a masterclass apparently from Max, which was actually aided this notion of, firstly, he goes from 17th to first. Well, two of the cars didn't start that were ahead of Max, so actually, essentially, he's gone from 15th. And his main rivals, which this season have been Lando Norris, have been George Russell, have been Charles Leclerc. Well, Carlos Sainz being another. Carlos Sainz started from the pit lane, so was Max never had to pass him. But Norris, Leclerc, and Russell, Max never had to pass them. Them three cars pitted, attempting to get a cheap tyre stop during a virtual safety car period, which actually ended prior to as they were pitting for some of them. And then the race got red flagged, so Max was able to leapfrog them free of charge, and then change his tyres for free. So essentially, the only people that Max Verstappen passed were drivers of limited experience, drivers in much inferior cars that have clearly demonstrated to be much slower throughout the course of the season. And yet they laud that drive as being a great drive. It was a victory. Yes, it was a victory, but it was not of the magnitude that it's described to be.
You know, I think the performance of that Red Bull is somewhere between Max and Checo Perez, but more at the Max end than the Checo Perez end. But
no, well, the thing is, we don't have anything. We don't have a control measure to measure it against. We don't see anybody else driving that Red Bull car of Max Verstappen. So you don't get the drivers such as Charles Leclerc, such as Lando Norris, such as Lewis Hamilton, able to drive that number one Red Bull car and see what lap times they can produce in that car. So we can't compare whether it's the car or whether it's the driver. There certainly appears to be a massive difference between Perez's Red Bull and Verstappen's Red Bull, because in times gone by, we would see that Red Bull car occupy the first two positions, both on the grid and in the race. And Perez is unable to get anywhere near to matching Max Verstappen's performance, when in the past he has been able to. That would indicate that there's a significant difference between the performance levels of the car.
But to do that when it's not in the fastest car, it's a brilliant, brilliant season. He is.
And look at what they're doing. They're having to ham up this notion of it not being the fastest car. But we can look at the statistics. Race 1, pole position, fastest lap, winning driver, Max Verstappen. So it was the fastest car there, wasn't it? Race 2, Saudi Arabia, pole position, Max, winning driver, Max. So it was the fastest car there, wasn't it? Race 3, Australia. Was this the one where, was it this year? I don't know which one it was. I don't know what happened at that one. Why Max didn't win that one. Did his brake bind on and then it explode when they went into the pits? Was it that one or was it last year? The shit show blends into one for me. Was there a problem with the brakes binding, and then when it was it this year, and it literally exploded out of the centre of the wheel, and had somebody have been there, it could have severely injured them or even killed them. Nothing dangerous about that. But there was a reason anyway that the Red Bull didn't win race 3, but they won race 4 with Max. They won race 5 with Max. So clearly, this was the stage of the season where we could just witness we were in for another 2023 season of absolute Red Bull dominance, weren't we? And then race 6, pole position, Max. This time, we'll have a look at what happens in these. I can't remember these. Oh yeah, this was the dodgy safety car, wasn't it? That was the contrived safety car. This was the Midas touch Donald Trump visiting the McLaren garage, and then the dodgy safety car fixing that race for Lando Norris. So actually, Max Verstappen probably would have won that one because the Red Bull was the fastest car. Then we get Emilia Romagna, Max Verstappen winning again, fastest car. Monaco, oh, that one was set up for Charles Leclerc, wasn't it? Again, it's nobody can overtake, so as long as you get a good pole lap, you've pretty much won that race. But that was again manipulated for Charles Leclerc on the grounds that his rear gunner, Carlos Sainz, who went out on that first lap, oh yeah, we'll red flag it and we'll just restart the race with Carlos Sainz in second as well. So then we get to Canada, winning driver, Max Verstappen. And then we get to Spain, winning driver, Max Verstappen. Okay, and we get to the Austrian Grand Prix, pole sitter, Max Verstappen. So the first 10 races. Of the first 10 races, Australia, what was that? Mechanical failure for Red Bull. Miami, fixed for Lando. Trump propaganda. And Monaco, well, won by a Monegasque here. Couldn't make it up, could you? So 3 out of 10. One being a mechanical failure, and the other 2 being a little bit dodgy. What's the fastest car? And yet we've got Crofty telling us.
I think the champion in a year where he's clearly not in the fastest car. I think the performance of that Red Bull is somewhere between Max and Checo Perez, but more at the Max end than the Checo Perez end. But to do that when it's not in the fastest car, it's a brilliant, brilliant season. He is a phenomenal driver.
Well, he's a phenomenal driver. Well, what did he accomplish when he didn't have the fastest car? Let's just have a quick look at that. So let's say, race 11, he's still got the pole position time. So at what point in this championship did Red Bull actually remove this asymmetric braking device? Who knows? But then we've got the British Grand Prix. So race 12, didn't win that one. Race 13, didn't win that one. Race 14, didn't win that one. That was at Belgium, where we've seen that Red Bull car for the 2 previous seasons absolutely obliterate everything else. Nowhere near this year, was it? Not even close to challenging people. Rather strange that one is, isn't it? Dutch Grand Prix. Couldn't even win the Dutch Grand Prix. You'd have thought they'd have wanted to fix that. They fixed some of the other ones, didn't they? The Italian Grand Prix, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, the Singapore Grand Prix, the US Grand Prix, the Mexico Grand Prix. Oh, but he's able to put a masterclass on at Brazil. Well, where did he go from after setting pole position here at Austria and not winning? We've got all them Grand Prix where he hasn't. So what's going on there? Let's go back to Crofty.
And we talk a lot about Max, and we talk a lot about, off the track and forcing other people off the track. But
you don't talk enough about it. You excuse it, you validate it, and it's completely unacceptable. I showed you the video of what he does. I've showed you the video of what other drivers do in every other motor racing series. Every other Formula One driver doesn't drive in that atrocious manner that Max does. and that you have this to say about Max.
But let's actually spend a minute or so saying Max Verstappen, genius driver.
Cocksucker is what you are. An absolute cocksucker. Max Verstappen, genius driver. There is nothing genius about driving your opponent off the track. Absolute cocksucker. I mean, let's just go through this. How on earth can you describe this manoeuvre as a genius driver? It is filthy scum driving. Filthy scum driving that we see exhibited time and time and time and time again. And you describe that as genius driving. You're gaslighting the population. You are conditioning youngsters to believe that characteristics of driving, such as that, constitute genius driving, and they absolutely do not. So I'm not the one that is being hateful or abusive. I'm the one that is exposing that your lies, your lying description about Max Verstappen is truly disgusting. You are doing this because you are fulfilling an agenda. You are fulfilling a role in life where you are getting paid to further propaganda. Lies that are being fed to the world to boost the image of the chosen competitor. That is filthy.
Fantastic world champion, deserves to be a four-time world champion.
And we've got this twat, nodding his head. This guy, again, this is what this media consists of. Gimps like this who add no value whatsoever but are there to ask staged questions and to affirm.
If he's got the car next year that can compete, will surely be a five-time world champion in the making as well. One of the greatest drivers ever to race in Formula One, and we should not let any.
What he displays is not the characteristics, it's not the driving of the greats. It's filthy. Anybody else that would drive in such a manner would be banned from motorsport. And yet Max Verstappen is enabled. That demonstrates that there is clearly an agenda to boost him, to enable him.
Anything else detract from that?
We should not let anything detract from that. Look at somebody trying to condition the narrative. Let's ignore all of the offences that Max does. We have somebody that plays football and they go onto the football pitch and they just try and kick the shit out of everybody. We should ignore that they do that and just call them the best footballer that we've ever seen. Vinnie Jones used to go onto the football pitch and just try and behave like a thug and didn't give a shit about anybody else. He didn't respect anybody else. He would just try and hoof you off the pitch. Let's ignore that that's what he did, and let's just refer to Vinnie Jones as being one of the best footballers we've ever seen. Or let's not. Let's call him out for exactly what he was. A thug on the pitch. Not in any way one of the best footballers we've ever seen. Not in any way.
And we should not let anything else detract from that. And it's rare that we've actually had the chance to sit down and discuss Max the champion. But
look at him describing as being rare. We've heard nothing but you eulogise about Max Verstappen. Nothing but you compliment Max ever since the Abu Dhabi fix. Well, even before the Abu Dhabi fix of 2021. Oh, he fully deserved it. Oh, even at the start of the season, race one, Martin Brundle said, two of the best drivers we've ever seen in this sport. When Max had been in the sport 6 seasons and won 10 races. That doesn't make you one of the best drivers this world has ever seen, does it? That doesn't make you one of the best. Lewis Hamilton, he'd probably been in the sport 2 seasons and won 10 races. Not 6.
Let's do it on a championship deciding weekend, because I think he will win it in Vegas. I think it will be done and dusted there. And what better place to hit the jackpot than in Sin City, eh?
Jackpot in Sin City. Hey, yeah. This whole show is a sin. It is a fraud, and we get talking heads like this man that are put in front of us to lie to you, to lie to me, to lie to your children, to condition the minds with mistruths. Condition the mind with lies. Fail to tell you the truth about what constitutes acceptable driving within this sport. Hype it up, cause conflict, cause division, incite the strap-on fanboy, those that like the characteristics of Max Verstappen, get them to think that, yeah, Max, my hero, is the greatest. Oh, see the Brit that even Crofty's saying is the greatest, so he must be the greatest. We like that. We like that. Not educate them with what constitutes acceptable driving and what doesn't. I do. I show you. I show you that this isn't acceptable. The notion of not hitting the apex is irrelevant. The notion of missing the racing line is irrelevant. What matters is you afford your respect to your fellow competitor track room. And Max, look at what he's done. He's filthy. He's driven him off the track. Look at all of the other people that compete in this sport and what they're trying to do. Are they trying to drive across here and force their opponent off the track? And that's exactly what Max has done, and that's what Max does often. This is a car that's lost control. Max hadn't even lost control. Max was purposefully doing that. But the rest of the field, the other 19 of 20 competitors contesting this sport, all know how to do it. They all try to go round the corners of these tracks. They know that the track is this tarmac section and it goes around here, and you've got to stay on that track and leave your opponent track room. Not Max so. Max, rather than take a line that goes around that corner, Max drives across here and cuts the other guy off completely. That is a filthy manner of driving. There are rules and regulations that prevent you from doing that. And if you do that, you get penalised. They don't penalise Max Verstappen. That's a problem. So for those of you that are real motor racing fans, this is what real motor racers do, who actually respect one another. You know, those of you that's got motor racing blood in your veins because you're real motor racing fans, this is all it is. It's about having respect.
He's going to have a fast car down to the first corner. Demeter's got to give him a reasonable amount of space. He can't just turn in. He's going to. Otter is still going to be there. Rides the curves, side by side. Kakinoshi Otter still trying to wrestle this. He's very late on the brakes on the outside. This is how he got the lead. Can he do it again? Demeter's going to be waiting through the braking zone. Can Otter be smart and tuck back in on the inside? Yes, he can. Demeter's still going to try and run it around the outside. They bang wheels. They're almost touching mirrors. Goodness me. Demeter still trying to hang on to this. This is incredible. Riccio and Demeter squeezing Otter through the left-hander. They have been side by side for half the lap. Round the outside, Otter's going to have the speed. He'll carry the motion into the left-hander. And Otter's going to get ahead. Demeter's going to hold him round the outside. Oh my goodness. This battle just will not die. Kakinoshi Otter.
Who's winning the race to the apex? As Karun will tell you, because somebody won the race to the apex, because they're the experts of the rules. Nothing in the guidelines say that the car on the inside has to remain on the track. Is it because these aren't the experts of the rules, like Max is, that they're not opting to just run the other car off the track and go off the track themselves? Or is this motor racing drivers adhering to the rules of engagement of motor racing, and the fact that if there is a car that is challenging you for position, and the yellow car's challenging the white one, and the white one's challenging the yellow one, they're challenging each other. Sometimes one is the attacking car and the other is the defending car. The other times the other one's the attacking car and the other one's the defensive car. Does that mean that whoever wins the race to the apex is allowed to drive the other one off track? No, No, that's not how it works, kids. It's about respect for your opponent and adhering to the rules of engagement of motorsport.
Still swings around the outside, kicks up the dust, squeezes Demeter to the inside. Demeter will not back down. Still they are side by side. They're going to keep this side by side for an entire lap. This is unprecedented. Demeter dives into the hairpin. Otter's still there.
And it's not unprecedented because I've actually seen this type of racing on many a clip. Many a clip. So, that'll do on this one. It is likely at this weekend's Las Vegas Grand Prix that Max Verstappen will be awarded his fourth world title. None of them are legitimate, but that is the nature of this show. Anyway, thank you for your time.